All right, we're back with arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators are just operators that let you do any sort of mathematical type stuff. So they're similar to what you've seen in math class, but we've got a few additional options in this case, and we'll talk about those in just a minute. But we're going to look first at the ones you're more familiar with. So we've got addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. The only thing here that's a little bit different is the division and the multiplication symbols are probably different than the ones that you normally use in math class. That's fine. We've got some not so familiar operators. We've got modulus, we've got a floor division, and an exponent. Exponent, you know what it is. Hopefully, you know it's something like 2 to the power 3. But in this case, we've got a double star, which is something a little bit different that you won't see in a regular math class. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at the basic ones first, and we're going to use them with the functions, hopefully that you kind of got some practice with. So take a look at the first problem here. We've got print. Print is our print function. Remember, the job of the print function is to display things on the screen for us. We've got 5 times a minimum of 5 and 6. So min, which I didn't show in the last one, but I did show max, is going to give you the smallest number. Now you have to remember that order of operations works in programming just like in math class. So the first thing you're going to do here is actually you're going to start on the inside of these parentheses and you're going to do the minimum thing first. So what will the value of this? What's the output of minimum 5 and 6? Okay. Hopefully you're looking at it saying it's going to be 5. I hope so. So you're going to get 5 from here and you're going to multiply it by 5, which is going to give us 25. So let's check if that is correct. Let's come back here and we're going to say print 5 times min 5 and 6. All right, good. Let me run that. And it gives me 25. So that works. We've got 5 times 5, works just fine. All right, let's pop back here. Same thing, we've got print 1 plus 2 times 3 divided by 1 minus 1. All right, so you can type this in or you can try to think about it right now. What's going to be first? If it's math, you know you're going to end up doing the multiplication first. And then you'll work your way from left to right. So let's take a look. It's 1 plus 2 times 3 divided by 1 minus 1. So you've got 1 plus 2, let's see, we got 1 plus 2 times 3 divided by, let's do divided by 1 minus 1. All right, good. We're going to go ahead and do that, and we get 6. Now you're going to notice something a little interesting about this is it actually gives me 6.0, which if you remember is a floating point number, which we're going to talk about more in the next unit. But for right now, just notice that this becomes a number with a decimal. Why does it become a number with a decimal? Well, there is something kind of interesting about division in Python. If I divide 5 divided by 1, I'm going to get 5.0. Every time you do a division, even if that division does not give you any decimal at all, it's going to turn this into a number with a decimal. So you're always going to get a 0.0 if it's evenly divisible. All right, so that's just something to keep in mind. If you want to make sure something is an integer, then you should probably find a way to fix that. Now, what function do we know that could fix this? So this result of this is going to be 5.0. Now I could give that as input to the function int. If I give that to the function int, any number that goes into int gets rounded down to the nearest number. So this will get rounded down to 5, which is already 5, but it's going to lose its 0.0. So the 0.0 goes away because I've used this. So if we're thinking about the whole input, process, output, that actually happens twice on this line and on this line up here. The first input is 5 divided by 1. That's a calculation happens, and that result, which is 5.0, is input into the int function. The int function processes it and says, hey, wait, you're giving me a number. I must take this number and I must make it an integer. And so it does it. It gives it 5. And the output from this function is 5. Now, what happens is all of this then gets replaced by 5. And the input to the print function becomes 5. Print says, hey, I've got to put this to the screen. And you end up with 5. Okay, so it does the processing. The processing part involves putting it on the screen and giving you 5. All right. So hopefully that's pretty easy to understand at this point. Think about this one here, this question 3. We're going to have 2 function calls. We call int, we call max, and then we call print. So it's going to do the max of this. But if you look at this, we're getting more complicated now. We've got 6 times 2 is 12. We'll do that first. 12 is the biggest number between 5 and 12, so you end up with 12. Plus 3 is going to be 15. 15 then gets printed out to the screen. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at these last 3, do these on your own, try and play with them, see if you can get things to break, or if if you find another function, try to put functions inside functions with other numbers. Maybe try some text and see if you put text inside max or int or anything else, what happens. You're not going to break anything. It's just going to give you an error if you do something you're not supposed to. All right, in the next video, we're going to look at some of those different operators I showed you, those 3 other weird ones, and then we're going to wrap it up. All right, thanks for watching.